the redeeming light. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is written that not even thousands of suns light can compare to the light of God. It says, if 1,000 suns were to blaze forth together in the sky, they would not match the splendor of that great form of Krishna, of God. All religions, all mythologies, scriptures, whenever they talk about a vision of God, it's always accompanied, remember, with light. They've managed to copy that in our serials also. There's always this flash of light when a devta or a god is arriving. So what is this light? In Autobiography of a Yogi, if you remember, Yogananji is talking to the wife of Lahiri Mahasaya, and she describes an incident which really leaves her awestruck. Again, it was to do with light. Before that, she had been living with Lahiri Mahasaya for years and years, but did not realize his greatness. Let me just read a little bit of that incident to you. It was years, and this is the wife of Lahiri Mahasaya speaking. It was years before I came to realize the divine stature of my husband, Lahiri Mahasaya. One night in this very room, her bedroom, I had a vivid dream. Glorious angels floated above me. So realistic was the sight that I woke at once, and the room was strangely enveloped in dazzling light. My husband, in lotus posture, was levitated in the center of the room, surrounded by angels who were worshipping him. Astonished beyond measure, I was convinced that I was still dreaming. Woman, Lahiri Mahasaya said, you are not dreaming. Forsake your sleep now, forever and ever. And again from the Autobiography, if you remember, when Yogananji left his guru's ashram for some time, thinking that maybe in the Himalayas I'm going to find what I'm really looking for. So he visits the sleepless saint, Ram Gopal Majumdar. And what does he do? They are talking late into the night, and finally Yogananji closes his eyes to sleep, and the saint also closes his eyes. He's meditating. But to Yogananji's surprise, what's happening? He said, as I closed my eyes, there was this dazzling light. I kept it open, my eyes, even then there was dazzling light. If I closed my eyes, there was dazzling light. I could not escape that light. And the next morning, the saint asked him, I hope you slept well. And Yogananji is like, what sleep? There was only light all over. And the saint is very pleased, and he says, oh, you are indeed blessed to have seen these divine radiations, right? And even Lahiri Mahasaya, if you remember this rare photograph of his, how was it gotten? There was one disciple of his who wanted very badly to have this photograph of Lahiri Mahasaya, but he refused. One day the disciple just tricked Lahiri Mahasaya into taking one photograph without his knowing. And very proudly he went, trying to expose that on the photographic paper and all of that. But what came? Only light. Finally, he had to go to the master and say, I did this and I'm sorry, I thought I'll get it and all of that. He says, give me one day to prepare. And the next day, Lahiri Mahasaya was able to get that much matter into him that a photograph of his could be taken, So these beings of light, they live in their bliss, in their joy of being. They have no actions to perform, they have no duties to discharge, yet they come again and again here in this realm of suffering. Why do they do that? That is when all of us have that yearning, of redemption. We want that redeeming light, we want salvation. Then that message reaches God's heart, and he sends his ray of light, right, in the form of one of these self-realized masters. Not only these, many. All of these self-realized masters come down, and when we hold on to their ray of light, then we can find our way back to our own light, to our source, to our home, isn't it? we actually really need that light, that ray of light that these masters bring to us. Why is that? Because we are kind of stuck in something like a spider's web, isn't it? The more solutions we try to find for ourselves, sometimes they bind us even more in this world. Right? Only by holding on to this light, this ray of light that has opened up in this world for us, if we hold on to us, then only slowly and surely we are able to find our way back to the light. Right? When Yogananji said that Jesus Christ, he came to Babaji and he said that my people do good work, but they have lost the art of communing with God. So please send somebody there to the West who can introduce this communion with God again with Kriya Yoga. So Paramhansa Yogananda is prepared by his Guru to take on this task of spreading Kriya Yoga to the world. Even the art of Kriya Yoga itself, when did it come into the world really? In the 1800s? Did it not exist before that? Babaji brought this science rather, to the world through Lahiri Mahasaya only when the yearning and the suffering of all of us reached his heart. And then he gave that permission to Lahiri Mahasaya, give Kriya to all those who humbly ask for help. Right? So Kriya Yoga itself is a light of redemption in our age, isn't it? We've all experienced it in our ways. So all of this comes to us through the infinite grace of these masters. These masters are actually like a Dhruv Tara, isn't it? Like a pole star shining in the sky. Unwavering, undiminished light, which always shows us the path, the direction to go. Is this light only the reality of God or all of these self-realized masters only? Not really. This light is actually the sole reality of ourselves as well. But the masters, God has that power to switch on this light which is lying dormant within us, right? And to guide us back to where we belong. And this they do through their grace, through their infinite compassion and love for us. But again, if we keep patiently waiting for their compassion to dawn on us, we are not really going to find true freedom. The masters say definitely true freedom will come only by the grace of God, but we have to be active participants in it. And how do we do that? We have to consciously keep our hearts open for God. We have to allow His light to come into the darkness of our deepest beings. We have to develop that devotion deep in our hearts for God, entertain that love for Him, not only just a belief that, oh yeah, God exists intellectually, all these scriptures say that, but a deep devotion towards God has to be found. Paramhansa Yogananda often said, you cannot drive the darkness out of a room by beating at it with a stick. But if you turn on the light, the darkness will vanish as though it had never been. Now, all of our consciousness living in this world is bound to be matter bound. Matter attachment happens. It's very true. We are going to think about matter. We live in this matter conscious world. So, the darkness of sin, the masters say, is inevitable to happen. Right? But how do we get out of this delusion of this darkness, of this sin? By staying in it, by struggling against it, it will not happen. He said, only by understanding through the clarifying light of God that can we escape from this sin. We have a tendency to say, paap to ho hi jata hai, sin, we are sinners and we do sin and all of that. But reveling in that sin, berating ourselves, judging ourselves constantly, that will help, that will make us stay only in the darkness. What do? It's better, they say, to affirm that I am the child of God, right? I am made from God's light and no darkness can exist within me. So only staying in the consciousness of God, by deep inner communion with that light, can we hope to surpass this darkness and reach the light. Christ said that the light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy body shall be full of light. And in the metaphysical meditations, Yogananji also says, I will close my material eyes and dismiss the temptations of matter. I will peer through the darkness of silence till my eyes of relativity open into the one inner eye of light. When my two eyes of good and evil become single and behold only the divine goodness of God in everything, then I shall find my body, mind, and soul filled with His omnipresent light. In this world of relativity, duality, good, bad, light, and dark, when we can transcend that, the masters say, our body will be filled with light. And this is exactly what Christ said when He said, if your eye will be single, your body will be filled with light. When we go beyond duality of this good, bad, sin, evil, all of that, then there is only light. When we accept this duality as reality, because we do that, we want to cling on to joy, but inevitably what happens by after that joy? It's fleeting. Sorrow will come inevitably. Pain will be followed by pleasure, but pleasure will again be followed by pain. And what are we doing? We suffer because we look for permanence. We want to cling on to only the joy and the pleasures. And this, the masters say, they give an analogy. It is like holding on or just mistaking that temporary light of fireflies which burns out in a flash as against that omnipresent blazing light of the sun. So we need to go beyond this duality, and when we do that, beyond the joys and pleasures and sorrows, when we start to do that, then we find the goal, Satchidanand, permanent happiness, permanent bliss, which is the redeeming light. Thank you.
This is a prayer demand by Paramhansa Yogananda from Whispers from Eternity. Make us transparent, that thy light may shine through us unimpeded. The sunbeams of thy love shine equally on all the members of thy cosmic family, whether prophet, hero, villain, tiny moth, or me. It is our own fault if we make ourselves opaque by our own mental and emotional dullness. Teach us to wipe away the dirt of error from the windows of our understanding. Our arms are weak for the task, owing to our long inner spiritual resistance. O Master Cleanser, lend power to our efforts, that we may wipe away every last spot that clings to our minds, obscuring our transparency and preventing free entry to thy light. Oh, make us fully clean again, invisible in our egos, because transmitting only visions of thy beauty, which lies within us. There was a man who had a severe diabetes. He was told that he has only 3 months to live. So he thought, let me spend the rest of my time with God. And he started praying intensely, God, come into my broken temple. 3 months passed. he was still alive. And he started then praying and meditating more and more and more, as long as 18 hours a day. 3 years passed, still alive, and one day he was filled with this infinite blazing light and went into ecstasy. He came out of that state and he found himself completely healed. No trace of disease. And this man said, God, why did you heal me? I didn't ask you to heal me. And God said, as it was in the reading, where my light is, no darkness can dwell. There's also a story of more recent story of an Ananda devotee from the United States who suffered cancer for many years. And she had a very strong willpower. So she continued to affirm that I'll get well, I will be well. And she did for some years. But then there came a point where the doctor gave up, that this is it, your life is coming to an end. And then she wondered, so now that I know that death is coming, what do I affirm? What do I pray for? And Nayaswami Asha, many of you know her, she's in Palo Alto, she answered her question. Concentrate on the light within your body, outside your body, all around everywhere. Don't look at your life in terms of life or death. And she followed this advice. And her disease didn't disappear, but she lived another 3 years. And more importantly, she came to complete peace with what's happening in her life. She was, complete peace with the fact that she had to leave her husband and young children behind. And at the end, she was filled with gratitude, acceptance, and even joy. And Asha described that when she passed, that her face was radiantly happy. So this practice of focusing on light, concentrating on light, this we can do in our own life, in our day-to-day challenges of work, family, relationships, or our own personal habits or tendency. We all have something that we've been struggling with for many years. And there comes a point that says, how long do I have to suffer? Or do I keep pushing? Or do I change the direction? What do I do? So especially when you feel that you don't know which way to go, the best thing is to be in the light, to concentrate on the light, because that is who we are. That's our highest reality. And to concentrate on light means to come back to our center, to withdraw our energy within, and to bring our energy to the spiritual eye. And what happens then is that our consciousness rises. We are able to tune in to higher thoughts, higher inspiration, higher wisdom, and then we'll create magnetism accordingly, and this positive solution will be drawn to us naturally. If you follow the light and live in the light, everything will work out. you won't have to worry about which way, what exactly we need to do. It will be shown to you. But looking at what's happening, around the world, or every day we face maybe negative energy, and we feel, okay, this light within me, this is so little light, and what difference can I make in this chaos? Well, Swami Kriyananda said, negative energy doesn't have cohesive power. Think about it. Negative people can't hold themselves together very well. Okay? But a group of people, even if it's small, group of people of shared faith, shared practice, when they come together, we create a strong vortex of positive energy and create change. Some of you might have been tuning into Spiritual Renewal Week in Ananda Village. In one of the talks, Naya Swami Devi referred to Swamiji's talk, and there Swami Kriyananda said, Kriya Yoga is the central technique which, even when the small number of people practicing it, will change the whole populace. With the small minority of people practicing Kriya Yoga, we are going to see changes so deep and so far-reaching that 100 years from now, this won't be the same world as we now know. Such a powerful prediction. And I'll quickly finish with one more thought, because talking about the group, this spiritual community, I want to share one example of birds. Okay, migratory birds, geese or swans, they travel thousands of kilometers every year, right? And I'm sure many of you have seen they fly in the V shape. At least on a TV or photograph you might have seen. Do you know why they fly in that shape? Okay, some of you know, but don't say, I'll say. Okay, so there's a scientific reason. So, when they're flying, there's a bird and there's one behind. The one behind flies a little above and to the side, and that way the resistance of the wind is much less. Okay, so the one flying in the back doesn't need as much strength as the one in front. And so now, who comes the front? Is that the Yes, okay, there is but so it's not the leader of the flock or the family, and they take turns. The strongest one at that moment comes to the front, and whenever they get tired, he goes to the back, another one comes, and that way, as a group, they fly longer distance without resting. And that, why I remember this example is that last week when we had Yoga Day, many of us came together, and many of you said to me that, oh, you managed everything, must have been hard. But it wasn't really, because, first of all, we have these masters. So they're the real doer. But even among ourselves, we take turns. All of us, throughout this spiritual journey, we go up and down. Every one of us experience this. And we can take turns. If I can't meditate very well, someone else can meditate deeply and give the blessings to me. Or if you cannot come for seva, at this time, others will come. And that way, we all grow together, we travel together. So, let us just, we have to make an individual effort. There is no excuse about it, but we can support each other, we can stay together and travel together. So I'll just end with this very popular saying, if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together. Jai Guru.